Welcome to this week's episode of the Punk Popcast, where we're going to be talking about Green Day's Dookie. Welcome to this week's episode of the Punk Popcast. I am one of your co-hosts. My name is Brad, and on my left, if you're watching on YouTube, we have our guy Jason. Welcome, Jason.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am waiting for my my youngest son's third birthday, so it's gonna be a busy day tomorrow.
It is, and you're up late. I apologize for keeping you up late.
I'm fine.
You sound like you're fine. You sound like you're so tired already. Let's get into this. So, like I said before, we're going to be talking about Green Day's Dookie. This is our season 2 finale. For those of you keeping score at home, we thought that this would be. I mean, really, what it came down to is one day we kind of looked at each other and like, metaphorically, because we don't live next to each other, anywhere near each other, and we said we haven't talked about Green Day yet. So we figured, you know what? Let's go ahead and talk about Green Day. It worked out for our season finale. And we were actually talking earlier today that this, Jason kind of pointed out, this is a perfect album to end on. Do you mind sharing with us, Jason, what you said about pop punk and how Green Day fits into that whole picture?
Here comes where Jason alienates our listenership.
It's our favorite segment.
So I have a theory. So punk rock kind of got its start in England and in New York, specifically here in the States, in the 70s, out of art rock or art school students, typically upper class, more privileged individuals. And I'm of the thought that pop punk might actually be punk in its truest form, because it's more of a middle class kind of teenager who's listening to it, forming the bands. They're singing about where they are in life and trying to find their place in life. They're not singing about trying to burn it down to spite mom and dad. It's more like, what am I doing in this world? Where do I belong? Where do I fit? And it just, to me, it's a harder working kind of individual who is behind pop punk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I can see that. And we used to always joke about Good Charlotte in, was it Little Things, or one of their songs they talked about being broke? I don't think it was Little Things, but anyway.
It might be Little Things, because Little Things, they have all those, Joel's singing and then Benji's like chiming in with little like,
yeah, that's right,
little like offhand comments.
Yeah, but so like there's something where they joke, or they say something about being poor, and my friends are all like, you couldn't have been that poor, like, because like I think it was after we went to Guitar Center to see how much it costs to get ourselves a new amp and guitar. Like, you couldn't have been that poor, because I know what the price tag is on what you're using. So, and I understand there's pawn shops and everything, but man, like, you didn't have it that rough. But anyway,
I mean, I can say in my general hour away area, there were secondhand stores for equipment. So, and I'm assuming where they were in Maryland, because they weren't too far from Baltimore. There's probably like, semi-used secondhand instrument stores that had amps, had stuff.
That's true. And it might have just been like the way we grew up, that we're like, we go to Guitar Center to get our stuff, because we didn't have that problem. We played in bands with kids who had brand new stuff, and we borrowed their extra stuff, right? Because that's who we grew up around. But anyway, all right, let's go ahead and get into Green Day here. This, to me, I mean, I'm just going to say it, this is a 100 pop punk essential album. I think that goes, I think it goes just about without saying. I do have a funny story about how I was introduced to this album, though. I don't remember if I told this earlier last season or anything, but anyway, for our new listeners, you haven't heard this one yet, probably. So when I specifically remember in 4th grade, did you guys ever do like buy and sell days, Jason, at school?
We did not.
Okay, so what we had was we had like a little fake community set up in our classroom, where we had like a mayor or a governor, lieutenant governor, police officers who would like ticket us if we were talking. We'd have to like go to court, and we'd go to timeout in the corner. But like, we had our jobs, and we would earn money for our jobs. We'd earn money for good behavior and getting good grades on tests and quizzes, stuff like that. So we had ways to earn money. And then close to the end of the school year, we would have a buy and sell day where you would either have like a game or something you could sell. And this one kid just grabbed a bunch of random crap from his house. And this is one of the kids in the other class. Just grabbed a bunch of random crap from his house and scattered it out across his desk and was like 5 ruples or whatever the dollar was for anything. And this girl walks up and she goes, "Can I have that?" He's like, "Yeah, it's 5 ruples." And so she takes it and comes walking over. She goes, "I just got Green Day's Dookie for 5 ruples. 5 pretend dollars that this kid probably stole from his older brother's room. She literally got it for fake money."
So,
Jason, that was legit like almost 20 years ago, almost 30 years ago. And I will never forget that story for the rest of my life because it's so funny to me, especially now the gravity of what happened there.
so ironically, I got this album when I was in 4th grade.
Oh, nice.
I still have the cassette because I have all my cassettes. Yeah. I got it for Easter 95 because I would have been in 4th grade then. Because that was the 94, 95 school year. So yeah, I got it in 4th grade right after When I Come Around, I guess, came out in that time period.
Yeah, dude, this was 95, 96, and legit, she got the CD, not the cassette, the CD for 5 fake dollars.
That CD was at least $20 in 95.
At least.
Because the cassette had to have at least been 15 or 10.
Yes. I'm telling you, man, the more like you're going to think back on this because it's an unforgettable story. You're going to think back on this in like 10 years and just like, that's unreal. His friend paid 5 fake dollars for a very real CD. That worked.
Literal Monopoly money. She got the CD.
Monopoly. It wasn't even Monopoly money. It was our teacher drew like a 5 in the corners and then had like some kind of crappy version of our school logo on it and then made photocopies and handed them out to us. It wasn't even actual Monopoly money.
That's great.
It's fantastic. Okay. Anyway, let's get into this. So, this was kind of a hard episode for us to put together and organize because there were so many hits off this album. Jason pointed out there are 5 singles. So what we decided to do is we'll go through and kind of reverse things. We'll talk about the 5 singles, and then we each have our own tracks that we're going to talk about. So it's like we have 5 consensus tracks, and then each of our individuals. But I'm still going to go ahead. I'm going to lead us off this week, Jason, if that's okay with you.
I'm fine.
I want to talk about my favorite Green Day song. You're never going to guess it. It is Welcome to Paradise.
Okay.
One of the things that really turned me on to Green Day from the very beginning, I need to be careful the way that I say that, especially talking about Green Day with their lyrics, is that this song doesn't quit. That it starts off with this really strong guitar riff and then it just goes on for the entire time. There's a little bit of a break with that bass solo, but then the build back up into like the final chorus and everything is just so awesome. My best friend when I was in 7th grade, he was in 8th grade. The 8th grade yearbook committee made them like a video yearbook, and this was the first song on the video. I was like, and I didn't have my own copy of the CD or anything, but I'm like, hey, you want to watch that yearbook video again? It's like, sure. And I kept having him put it in just because I wanted to listen to Welcome to Paradise because it's at the very beginning.
That is an odd song to have at the beginning of your video yearbook lyric wise. Good Lord.
Put together by a bunch of 8th graders. Come on. Who had little to no guidance from teachers. So it's very odd selections throughout.
I find it interesting that this was because, I was 9 and 10 when this album came out, that this was actually the second single. Because I feel like it was almost swept under the rug with how big Along of You was and how big Basket Case was, that it was sandwiched in between them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was a song that like I recognized when I heard it on that tape, but I didn't know who it was at first. I didn't know the song, but I had recognized it because I'd heard it intermittently. And I was actually surprised to find out that it was a single. It made sense because I had heard it before that, right? But I don't feel like songs like this typically get on the radio and do well, right? Like specifically, Fall Out Boy was told their guitars were too heavy to be successful on the radio, and that's kind of what I feel like with Welcome to Paradise as well.
Yeah, but I mean, we got to factor in. I mean, this would have been late '94, early '95 at most. Grunge was still, I mean, Bush was on the pop charts.
It hits harder
Pearl
than
Jam
that,
was still
though.
on the pop
It
charts. I
hits
mean,
harder than
rock
any of
was
that stuff, though.
still, but rock still mattered then. Is I
Right?
guess
It
what I'm
did, yeah,
saying.
yeah, it did, and so I can see that the people will be more like, I guess, quote unquote, prepared for it, right? But
That's my thought.
it hits harder than Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Bush, any of that, you know, because that's like Nirvana was probably maybe a little bit harder than the rest, maybe, but it was still like
I mean, you got to think
heavy but slow. This has a driving beat that I don't feel like we're still used to.
95 was the year that Black Hole Sun by Soundgarden was everywhere.
And it's slow. It's slow.
But it's
It's a
heavy though.
great
That chorus
it's a
is heavy.
great song. It is. It's a great song. It's heavy, but none of them push like Welcome to Paradise.
I get what you're saying from a speed point of
Yeah.
view.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
The way that it goes from start to finish, and there, like I said, there's that little break, but that's like what everything else was doing for the entire time. You know? So
Yeah.
I don't know. But that I feel like that might be why it kind of got why they almost like dropped another single close after, because like, oh, this isn't doing as well. Let's put something else out there. But anyway, sorry. Go ahead with your next one, Jason.
First one. I'm gonna go with cold one. I'm gonna go with When I Come Around. Sorry, I had to. This is my favorite song off the album. I liked it as soon as I heard it, and I think it was the reason why I wanted the album so bad as a 10-year-old, because I just thought this song was really good. I remember, and I probably still have it, I recorded the video off of MTV.
Oh yeah.
I have a lot of VHS music video mixtapes that if I had a VHS, I would play them for people.
So we had MTV locked on our TV, but I do have a lot of radio mixtapes where it's like, oh, record, you know.
I had some of those too, honestly. Lots of Casey's Top 40.
Nice.
This is, I don't want to say it's super poppy, because I mean, comparing to most pop punk, this isn't actually super poppy. But God, is it easy to sing along with. It's easy to sing along with the verses. It's easy to sing along with the chorus. It's super catchy.
Mm-hmm.
And
you know what else is easy about this song is this was the first Green Day song I ever learned on the guitar, because it's so easy. It's
really
like 4 chords, and if you play it like exactly how Green Day wrote it, because my buddy had the International Super Hits songbook, like guitar book, and so like I remember going through that and being like, oh my gosh, it's like way more complicated. But then it's like, I can simplify this so easily, and it still sounds exactly the same. It sounds awesome. It's really easy to play, and I'm not coordinated enough. I never have been coordinated enough to play the guitar and sing at the same time. I don't know why. Maybe concussions from baseball. I don't know. Anyway, but this is one that I could do that with, because of the way that the strumming pattern and how easy the lyrics are to sing along.
And I have to admit something from my time as a songwriter, and singing in bands, and it never dawned on me until now. I've ripped off a line from the second verse so many times.
Like in multiple songs, you put that. Is it the same line?
Trying to make it work in the way that I want it to work, and it never would. But I've always liked I'm a loser and a user, so I need no accuser. I've always liked that play of loser and user. So I've always kind of, whenever I would write a song and try to work it in, it was always a relationship song, and it was always
all right.
One person was a loser, the other one was the user. And yeah, I gotta own it. I've done it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, so Green Day. I've never made any money, so you can't get anything from me. But I'm just owning it right now.
But that is a good line though. Like the way that he sings it is outstanding. Like, let's pause for just a second on this because I gotta say, Billy Joe Armstrong's voice is outstanding. It's very unique and so fitting for the lyrics, and uh, I don't know, I freaking love his voice. There are probably 5 guys I'll say that about, and he's one of them.
It is definitely very unique, but it works for what they do. And on their slower songs, it's almost better on like a song like this or a song like Warning or
21 Guns is outstanding.
and I'm trying to Time of Your Life.
Mhm.
It works really well on a more not sentimental song, but a song that has a little more weight to it. He's able to convey that really
Mhm.
well.
Well, so let's while we're talking about Billy Joe's voice, let's talk about All by Myself real quick.
Okay.
Because it's
Well, it's
I
not
don't
Billy Joe, so
oh, it's not? Okay, because I was like, that is like too funny the way that he sings that song.
no, that's Trey. It's Trace. Trey
Oh, is
wrote
it?
and performed it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right, because I was like, man, I don't know how he did that, but it's funny.
I mean, we got to talk about it just for a little bit
We
because
do,
I
and that's
think
kind of why I jumped into it. Because I think I've talked about this before too. That I had a friend who that was one of his favorite songs to play on the guitar and sing. But the way he sang it, the first time I ever heard it was from him, and the way that he sang it and played it on the guitar, I thought it was a ballad. And like then he just like stopped, like, what's the rest of the song? He's like, oh, that's it, that's the whole thing. Like super confused.
so. You can only imagine my surprise as a 10-year-old child playing Sonic the Hedgehog 3 in my bedroom, playing this tape for the first time.
And your mom comes
And
in.
after like 5-10 minutes, another song starts out of nowhere that sounds a little weird, but hilarious at the same time.
Yeah, so I knew it. The song was like because I didn't really pay attention the first time he played it, and then he played it again. I listened. I was like, that's kind of a funny song to like sound like that. And then I heard the actual version. I was like, I see. Because my buddy, I'll get to the another song here in just a minute. He was like a really high tenor in choir. He had a
Okay.
really good voice. Like I can't knock his voice because I can't carry a tune in a bucket. But he had a really high tenor voice. And so he would sing stuff and it was like really, really, really high. And it sounded kind of weird sometimes. And that was one of them that he would do that. And he would like rearrange it and harmonize and stuff. And I'm just like, I don't know if it's working, man. I don't know if it's working right there.
So I got to jump in here real quick with one more thing. So when I say like around 96, MTV aired a Green Day concert that was
Okay.
filmed like just for MTV back when they actually cared about music.
When music was still on MTV.
And Trey performed it live and he was all kind like I haven't seen it since. I'm going by memory, but he looked almost like timid and like sketchy the way he was standing there by himself singing this song.
I think he's supposed to. Isn't that like the point of the song?
It was a really interesting visual to go with the song.
That's so funny. That would be a really interesting visual. But like I said, also quite fitting that it would be. But anyway, let's do one more and then we'll go to break. Go ahead and pick us a song, Jason.
Oh, you said you were gonna go to us the next song because
Oh, did
you
I?
had
Okay,
something
I'll
with,
go to the next.
you had
All right.
something with All by Myself that and your friend
Yeah.
singing.
Yeah. Okay. So speaking of my friend singing, let's talk about She. Is that all right?
That's fine. I love this song, so I'm good with
Okay.
it.
Me too. It's awesome. But when my buddy sings this song, he sings it so high that it sounds so weird that like we would be sitting there just playing our guitars together. He'd start playing and singing it, and I was like, I just wait for it to be done, and then every single time I had to get in my car to listen to the actual version and to remind myself that I didn't hate the song. And I apologize to him profusely, but it didn't fit. It just didn't fit.
So I've always liked this song. I wish I could tell you why. I think it's just a really good song. I think the music is really what sold me on it from the get-go. But re-listening to this album in preparation for this episode, there was something about the chorus that made me think of Just a Girl by No Doubt, almost like their brother and sister songs.
Huh. Is it musically or lyrically?
I think it's because, like Just a Girl, she's talking about Gwen's talking about a world that's planned for her. She has no say in what she's doing.
Right.
And he's talking about, are you locked up in a world that's been planned out for you? Like it's very similar themes.
Huh. That's really interesting. I never thought of that before. Huh. Well, shoot, you just blew my mind, Jason. Blew my mind hole. But no, really though, the chorus is fantastic. The way that everything goes through, and then I like the end of the chorus. Scream at me until my ears bleed. I'm taking heed just for you. The way that that fits in with the guitars musically is so perfect. That it's like it's so poppy and easy and fun to sing to. That those two lines to me are almost what make the song for me, because that's the part that I take away and continue to sing for like ever.
The way Joe and Trey do that part of the chorus, it's almost like it's not quite a call and response, but it's very similar to a call and response.
Yeah,
you have that scream at me, and you people not watching on YouTube, you don't see me doing my hands up and down like
Jason's directing music for us, by the way.
I am.
Go watch it on YouTube if you're not, and you can.
I learned it from Bugs Bunny.
That's how it works. That's how it works. Fantastic. All right, let's go ahead and take a quick break. When we get back, we've got a few more songs to talk about, plus our personal selections for this album.
9 Plus Us presents the Baseball Together podcast with your hosts, Blackjack Brad and Kansas City Little Big Briggy Blue Eyes. Weekly episodes for the entire baseball family where we talk all baseball all the time. Available on all your favorite podcast apps and on YouTube. Come join our baseball family where we do baseball together.
The Another Sports Podcast is the home of sports talk for everyone. Every other week, you can catch David and Jason as they talk about all things sports, from current events to classic moments and everything in between. You can find the Another Sports Podcast on Anchor.fm, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, and more. Please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review.
Welcome back to our Green Day episode where we're talking about Dookie. Jason is going to lead us off with our next awesome track off this fantastic album. Go ahead, Jason.
I'm going to go with my personal track. And as I said to you off the air, it was tough. I had about 3 deep cuts that I could have went with. But I went with Having a Blast. It's the second song off the album. On the A side, if you have the cassette like I did, and still do. But for me, I mean, this to me has, and this whole album is to me the template for what pop punk is.
Mm-hmm.
And while I think there's cases to be made for the Ramones being the forefathers of pop punk, I think Green Day is legitimately the template that every band, whether consciously or not, has kind of gone from. And I think Having a Blast is one of those songs that showcases that influence.
Yeah, I agree with you. It has every essential ingredient, right?
Yeah.
And I think that, I mean, to say that this album and this song in particular are the template for pop punk going forward, I mean, Blink-182 has been around since the early days, but to say that they were original, I think would be wrong, because they obviously took from these guys, but they did take their own spin on it, right?
Right.
They were from somewhere else geographically, so they had other things that they included that had a different sound. But I do think you're absolutely right on the fact that this is the template. Everybody else, like, this is, I don't know, patient zero or whatever, but this is
I like
where it all
that,
comes
patient
from.
zero.
This is where it comes from.
I mean, ironically, I would say it's them and to some degree Rancid. They were the 2 punk bands of the mid 90s. And then late 90s is when you had Blink and then Newfound Glory coming in and so on and so forth.
Yeah. And I think this is the beginning of it, and this song has all the essential ingredients. I think you're spot on with it. 100%. Can I go ahead and with my personal track?
Go ahead.
Okay. I went with my shtick, and I went with the first track on the album. I went with Burnout. One thing, and I just love that it starts out just with like a punch in the jaw and goes from there. Like it doesn't give you a second to recover from it. Right? Like that's the thing that I love about this song is that like back in my day when we put the CD in or the cassette tape in your case, Jason, because apparently you're like a year is like just enough older to
I didn't have my
cassette.
I didn't have my first Discman until 97. So
That's about when I got mine, but we had a CD player in the house. So anyway, but no, you put it in because I remember this is a CD I drove home to at night a lot because specifically my junior year we listened to a ton of Green Day that year just because my friends, like one of my friends, it was her favorite band, so if she was driving it was either Green Day or Sum 41. We'll get there, Jason. That was in her CD player, and this one was a lot, and it was awesome. We were like, yes. So that's the big thing with this is that it's got a lot of nostalgia to it. It's one of those things where it's like, you know how when you put on a song and you can get taken to a place.
yeah.
For me, I'm taken to my driver's seat with my headlights shining out into the night. It doesn't matter where it is. It's just me and my headlights, like the headlights, because that's what it is every single time for me, or what it was every single time for me.
I think this song in particular, chorus wise, ties into what I was talking about. Well, you wanted me to talk about at the beginning with my theories on why pop punk is punk at its truest form.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about suburban kids and rural kids finding their place in the world. The chorus, I'm not growing up, I'm just burning out. And I step in line to walk amongst the dead.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's so much pop punk is about not falling into the traps of those before us. Figuring out our way to make life work for us. And this is, again, the template.
Yeah. It's where it all comes from. It's the very beginning, and this is one of the songs that, again, like you said, is where everything else draws from, and it's awesome. And the sound, and again, the drive is, for me, what gets me in pop punk, because there's enough slow and whatever out there, but there's a specific paced pop punk that I love, and Burnout is it. Yeah. So that's one of the big things that gets it with me. Like, yes, it's an outstanding lead track, but it's an outstanding song anyway. I think it's on International Super Hits, if I'm not mistaken. And if in that case, it's in the middle of the album, because the first track on that is Nice Guys Finish Last, and so it even fits in 4 or 5 tracks in.
We could do Nice Guys Finish Last on another soundtrack episode.
Oh, sweet! What movie is that from?
Varsity Blues.
Another one that's been on my list to see but have not gotten to.
My wife would give you a different opinion, but I'm of the opinion.
All right. Go ahead with our next song here, Jason.
We got 2 left, and I don't know which one to pick.
Let's go with the one that's the top on our list, because I think we need to save the other one for the end.
All right, well, let's do this. This is the one I don't listen to a lot because of an uncomfortable discussion in the car with my dad. Longview.
So I was listening to this album in the car with my son today, like taking him to and from school, and
boy, you're just gonna make me flashback now, aren't you? Huh?
It started to get to Longview. I was like, let's go to the next song. Let's skip right over that one. We're just gonna keep on rolling here. He's 7, and we're not ready for that conversation yet.
All it took was, do you know what they're singing about, for me to be like, I'm never listening to this song again. And Jason, legitimately,
the correct response to that question is always just yes. I learned that at a very young age. Do you know what that's about?
10.
Yep.
We were in my dad's 78 Ford Ranger because that's what he had to have. And it just was uncomfortable. And I think that uncomfortableness has stayed with me because I don't voluntarily listen to this song ever.
Well,
I did
and
for the review, but I don't.
yeah, I did listen to it today when I was going through everything again. But I will say that this is not a song that I will ever voluntarily turn on as much as I did like it growing up. But I was in band in high school for a year, and we went to Florida for a trip. We went to Disney World, and there was one girl on the dance team who was singing that one line from this song the entire week. The entire week. And so it really turned me off to the song because I was just like, I'm good. I'm good. Don't need it anymore. So
I have follow-up questions that are not PG, so we are not touching that with a 40-foot pole.
yeah, that's probably a good idea. All right, let's go to the next song. Let's go to our last song. This is one of
Oh,
my
God.
favorite songs ever. Another one of my favorite Green Day songs, Basket Case. You cannot talk about Green Day without talking about Basket Case. So as a kid, like this was a song that was like, obviously this was the first single off the CD, right? Off the album.
No, it was Longview. It was
Oh, was it Longview?
Longview, Welcome to Paradise, Basket Case, When I Come Around, and then She.
Okay, so Basket Case was still a pretty early exposure to Green Day, right? But the chorus of Sometimes I Give Myself the Creeps, sometimes my mind plays tricks on me. First off, everybody can relate to that, but also the way how catchy that is brought everybody in. Everybody came into Green Day on those lines.
Yeah, and I mean, it was, I would say it was a crossover song. It was
Mhm.
huge.
Yes, it was enormous.
Probably their biggest song, arguably their biggest song before American Idiot.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, and American Idiot was probably like the next astronomical hit because there were other songs off of Warning and stuff that were big, but nothing was as big as American Idiot. That was, like I said, that was astronomical. Um, I do have one question for you, Jason, about the lyrics. How old were you when you realized that the shrink he went to was a woman and the whore he went to was a man? How old were you when you finally realized that?
I mean, I was singing it when I was 10. And I have a funny story about this song too. I don't know if I ever really thought that deep. I mean, clearly at some point it registered on me, but I couldn't tell you when it registered with me.
I was too old,
Um,
let's say that. I was older than I should have been.
I knew something was up. So story time. Fridays in fourth grade was, if I remember correctly, was music class. And once a month, if you got picked, you could bring in a tape of your own to have a song played in music class. And this was my song that I had picked. And when it got to the second verse, I can remember the music teacher, who is now a minister, um, giving me a very sideways look.
Oh, he didn't turn it off?
She did not turn it off.
Oh, she didn't
No.
turn it off? No? So
No.
I had a similar experience because my bus driver, when I was in sixth grade, would let us bring our own music. And I had my radio mixtape, and Wrong Way by Sublime was on there. I can't remember if I told you this or not. And I didn't know. I just thought it was a really catchy song. I didn't know what it was about.
It is a super catchy song.
So I had it on there. And it's like the third track. And so it got maybe halfway through the first verse. And he pulls it out and says, "Come get this tape. We're never playing it again." I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about. What's the problem? What's the problem, Don? Why don't you play my tape?" And so we would have different people from the back take it up because we wanted to listen to it because we didn't know what was wrong with it. He didn't say like that song is inappropriate, so I'm not gonna play this. And so we'd have somebody else take it up every time because I tried to give it back. He was like, "I'm not playing your tape."
So Wrong Way's on my 97 MTV VHS mix cassette.
Oh, nice. Very good. Yeah, it was It was on my radio, and like I had like Come Out and Play and stuff like that on it. I think there was some Everclear
That's a
before I
great
had the
mix.
Everclear CD, but yeah, it was all about that time. But let us know what you think about this album. Like we said at the very beginning, we believe wholeheartedly that this is a absolute 100 on the essential pop punk scale, like for sure. There is no two ways about it. It is the template for 90s to early 2000s pop punk. This is where it all came from. If you have differing opinions, feel free to let us know. Reach out to us on the Twitter machine at Punk Popcast, right? Yes, at Punk Popcast on Twitter, or you can reach me directly at Jojo Cornrow. Spell it out, JoJoCornrow. I don't know any other way you would do it. Jason, let us know your Twitter handle so they can reach out to
My
you.
Twitter machine handle is at xjasondagx.
Perfect, excellent. That is a wrap on season 2. Thank you so much for joining us and sticking, and those of you who stuck with us the whole way through. We will be back later this year for season 3, and we're going to try to mix things up again a little bit. I don't know, maybe we felt like it was working and it'll be exactly the same in season 2 with more, but we will get with you for season 3.